everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Kim and today I want to talk to you about bullet journaling in Notion. To be honest, I'm not sure if we can still technically call it bullet journaling because the bullet journal method relies heavily on pen and paper and is a pretty simple method. Of course, with doing it digitally and adding databases and everything in Notion, it's not as simple anymore. But I'm still gonna call it a bullet journal. So as I said, I want to talk about bullet journaling and how, if you're a bullet journaler or if you like the bullet journal method, you could transfer it into Notion. Of course, there are many different ways to bullet journal, even though there is the bullet journal method by Ryder Carroll, but a lot of people have adapted it and added things to it and left things out that they didn't like, and everything does bullet journaling a little different. So there are obviously a lot of ways to adapt bullet journaling into the digital space and as well as into Notion specifically, but today I just want to show you one way. Maybe I'll show you different ways in the future, but today I just want to show you this one pretty simple way. Or first we're going to start with our dashboard, which is basically, if you're following this method, or if you want to do just something very simple in Notion, you would basically only need this one top level page, and with this you could have your bullet journal. Of course you can add a lot of things to it, but this is going to be the one bullet journal page. This will also be a template and available in the link below in the info box for my template page, where you can find this template. How often can I say template in a sentence? Okay, so let's get started. First, let's start. What do we need in a bullet journal? And how can we do, or what can we do in Notion? So, what do we have in a typical bullet journal? Well, we have our daily page. It's not really a daily page, it's more like a running to-do list. Then we have our monthly page, our future log, as well as our collections. And then obviously there are also a lot of people who use a weekly view in their bullet journal. We're gonna leave this one out here, but you can easily add a weekly view in this system. Then another thing that almost everyone who does bullet journaling has is a habit tracker. So I'm gonna put this here in brackets. And while the habit tracker technically is a collection, I think it would be a collection. Not, well, yeah, I think it would be a collection. Usually most people have it with their monthly log. They have a monthly habit tracker, so let's put it in here. So in Notion, what would we build? Or not generally in Notion, but with this, what I'm showing you today. The first thing would be a daily page, which would basically be our habit tracker. We have the habit tracker and the daily page. If you want to do any kind of journaling or anything, that would also be done in here. But not the running to-do list. For the running to-do list, we have a different database, which would be our tasks and events database. Obviously have our running to-do list. It would also house our future log. Then we would have a monthly database, which would be our monthly page, basically. For the last one, we would also have a collections date. The daily page and the monthly page would also be collection databases. I just wrote it down for the tasks and the collections. I don't know. I didn't for the other ones. But those are the 4 databases we will need. So let's start with creating 4 databases. So I'm going to start with creating 4 inline tables. Inline just because I prefer to create everything inline, and it works better for this view. I always suggest to have all your tables, whether you create them inline, or all your databases, whether you create them inline or as a page in one separate page, your database library, so to speak. So if you rearrange your dashboards and your pages, you don't accidentally delete them and just create linked databases in your dashboards, in your pages. But to show you this, and also in the template, the tables will be the original tables in the dashboard. There will be no database library. Also, when I start something, I usually start with a table view. You can always switch it to every other view you want, but I just prefer to create it in a table view. It's just the way I like to do it. So let's call this daily pages. You can Now we have our basic database. Let's work on, well, making the databases our own and making them fit in the bullet journal style, so to speak. So for the daily pages, we have the name. We could also rename this to title or day or whatever you want. I just leave it a name. Then we have the date. Then we can start and put our things in here that we need for the day. So for example, our habit tracker, let's say, want to see if we do yoga every day, we can have a checkbox. If we drink our water, we could have a checkbox, but we can also have a number where we put in how much water we drink every day. Let's also, if you're maybe in school, study, and instead of a checkbox, let's make this a multi-select where you can input all your classes, and then at the end of each day you can just choose which classes you studied for. And then you can add however many properties you want. I would suggest, not because of the databases, but because of habit tracking. I used to track a lot of things, and then I tried to pare it down, and then I went back to tracking a lot of things. I would suggest just thinking about what do you want to track, and don't just track something because everyone else tracks it. Really think about why you want to track it and if it helps you. You don't need to track something because you want to look back at it. I hardly ever look back at the things I track. I usually track more for kind of an accountability thing, but some things I want to look back at. So it doesn't really matter it doesn't matter to me why you want to track it, but it should matter to you why you want to track it. So don't just track a billion things. If there are a billion things you want to track for whatever reasons, do it, but think about why and how you want to track everything. Then we'll also relate this to the monthly database. And then we can also relate it to our tasks and events database. And that's it for the properties we're going to create today. As I said, you can add whatever properties you want. A lot of people track their mood in their bullet journal. You could track all other kinds of exercises. Did you brush your teeth? Did you do your reading? Whatever you would usually track in your bullet journal or everything else you want to track, you can just track in here. Then let's just create an example page or a few. And that's it for right now. For the monthly, we have the date as well. Then we have the relation to the daily. Let's call this days because of all the days that are related to it. We can also relate this to the tasks and events. Relate all those databases to the collections database. I'm not doing it right now because I don't have like a use case in mind that I could explain to you right now. But if you feel the need to do this, you can. So now I did something wrong. You want to create it, link it to the tasks and events, not to the monthly database. So then you could also add in here some kind of monthly tasks you want to track. Maybe things you want to do only every month you could add a checkbox for this. As with the daily trackers, you can put everything you want in here. One thing I forgot in the daily page is I always add a 1 line a day. That's also something a lot of people add in their bullet journal, where you can just in one line or in a few words write what happened the day. You could also add a gratitude, for example, something like this. And this is also something I would add in the monthly, which I wouldn't call it a line a day. Let's just say what happened. In June, but it doesn't matter, it's just an example. So now we can relate the days to the month. They would all be related to March right now because we're in March. So for the tasks and events, we always have the name again. We already have the relations. Let's just call this day and this one month. Then the text property, in this case we'll keep it and we'll call it type. And here we have a select property in this case, and there you can have, for example, a task or an event. I also have birthday, because birthday technically, if I had to choose, birthday would be an event, but also birthday doesn't necessarily mean, if it's like someone's birthday, doesn't necessarily mean I need to like take time that day to go to the birthday. Maybe I'm not invited or they're not celebrating the birthday, but I still want to have the birthday remembered, so I'll just put another tag, because for me those are different things. But you can just have task and event. You can have other things. But it is, I would suggest not having too many things here, because this is just the overarching type. You can have another property, for example, where if it's a task, like you could call it task type, and then you have the different type of tasks. Maybe it's a phone call, or maybe it's something related to your work or your family or your household, or it's like an errand you run outside, whatever. You can add as many properties as you like. So let's call this task type. And here I would have a multi-select, because maybe it's not as stringent. And then maybe we have it a call and an errand. Maybe an errand would be something that takes you out of the house, for example, and maybe something online, everything you want to look up or do, and then maybe a house chore, or whatever makes sense for you in that case. Those are just examples I have. You obviously also have the date. Maybe for tasks, maybe you have them as a specific date, maybe you don't, but events usually are on a specific date, so the date is pretty important. Then, as I said, you can relate it to the collections as well, or add any other kind of property. So let's have a task, an event, and maybe a second task. Let's leave the birthday out for now. So this one would maybe be today. The event would be some kind in June, because we already have June. And then task would be on Friday. So we have a task here, an event, and another task. Let's leave this out for now. So now you can relate them to the day or the month. So let's do this. The event would be on June 23rd. So I don't know what day of the week June 23rd is, and we obviously don't have a day yet for June 23rd, because we only have the 3 of them. So I'll just put in the date and create a day, and then I put the date in as well, so it doesn't get lost. And then in my planning routine, I would at the start of the month, I would create all the days, all the daily pages for the month, and then we would already see this date there is already a date, and then we can add the day of the week. But you'll see that in a bit. So we can also relate this to the month. June we already have in this case. And that's for the tasks and events. Then for the collections, this is basically one where you can do whatever you want. Maybe you have a reading tracker in here. Or, well, you could track your reading in the habits, but maybe you have a reading list, all the books you've read. Maybe your reading list. You can have your meal planner in here. I also have a meal planning template, which you can find in the link below. So maybe if you want both the templates and you want to use the system, you can just drag the meal planning template, the meal planning page in here, and have it as a collection. Or you can also have a TV shows list, or maybe you have as a collection notes on an important topic. You can add whatever in here. As for the properties, again, you can add whatever in here. I would maybe add tags for what kind of thing it is. Maybe it's something, for me, I would relate it to, or not relate it, but tag it with like kind of a life area. So is it personal? Is it home and family? Is it work? Or maybe if you have a lot of different interests, is it, if you're learning different things, is it like this topic or this topic or this topic? You could put any kind of things in here. Let's have your personal, maybe home, family, and then add some topics you might be interested in, or some hobbies you might, whatever you want is fine. just do whatever you want to do. So now we have the database is set up. Let's get on setting up the actual dashboard and how we use it. For the monthly section, I just changed the monthly database to show in a gallery view. So you can see all the months we've already created. And then we also have the future log, which is the tasks and events database in a calendar view. So you can already see here we have something today and something tomorrow. And then if we go for June, for example, you can see here's the event. And now if you have another thing, maybe again in June, because we are in June on the 30th, you can add in here. You can see the date is already here. We can call this event 2, add type maybe birthday in this case, and just leave it at that, or relate it to the day, whatever we want. So this is our future log. So now let's talk about how we actually use this. So the events database, tasks and events database is pretty self-explanatory, I think. You have all the tasks on or before today. And since we have to filter on or before today, this is the most similar to the running to-do list you have in a bullet journal, because if it's something that was supposed to be done yesterday but we didn't tick it off, it's still there today. We don't have to rewrite it, re-put it in or anything. It's still there until we tick it off. Then we have our habit tracker here and our daily page. So now if you want, I'm not a journaler, I don't really journal, but if you want to every day write something down, more than just your line a day or gratitude or whatever you have in your habit tracker, you can do that in here. So maybe at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day or both, or whenever you want to write it, you can click in here. Now you're in the page for the day and you can start writing. But what we're going to do right now is create a template. So if you don't just want to start right, you want some kind of structure, you can already choose this one. So let's say this is new day. We'll leave all of this blank. So let's say we want to have a part or a section for the morning and the evening. And in the morning we want to have a brain dump or a morning pages. Then we also want to maybe have 3 things that would make today great and 3 affirmations. And for the evening, maybe we want to have 3 wins of the day and 3 things we learned that day, and maybe another what happened section where you can write down a little bit more. Now we have everything set up. If we go back now, we're here in the page, and now we can choose the template new day. If we click on this, we already have everything set up once Notion loads, and then we can just start typing. And here we are, our daily pages, ready to start writing. Then the next thing would be the monthly, where we again have our month. We wouldn't need to check in there every day. If we wanted to see what's up in the next few days, we could do this in here in the future log. So I would only go in here at the beginning and at the end of the month. And at the end of the month, I would check off my habits, write in what happened today. And here we again will create a template. We will have the beginning of the month, where we can see what's up for the month, and maybe create all our daily pages for the month. And then we have our end of the month, where we can reflect on the month before. So let's create it. Going on, where we have basically our future logs, our tasks and event database, which automatically shows you the current month. So I don't have a filter on there, and it shows everything you have to do this month. And then we have the days of the month, which is the daily pages. Here I hid all the properties except for the date and the tasks and events, because everything else is something we fill out throughout the month. So we don't need to see it at the beginning of the month because it will just be empty. And here I have the filter for monthly contains untitled. This is a self-referencing filter. So as soon as you apply the template, for example, to March, it will filter for monthly contains March. So every day you create in here will automatically be related to March. But maybe we already have a day created, which like in this case where we created a day because of a future event. And obviously we didn't relate this day to the month when we set up the event. So I put in the filter to as well show us everything where monthly is empty. Just so we are on the safe side and we don't accidentally forget a day we already have created. Then for the end of the month, we again have the daily pages, which again is filtered to show where the month contains the month we're currently in. So here are all the days that are related to the month, and here we have all our habits, and we can just reflect on the habits, maybe read through the line a day before we fill in our what happened section, just so we can reflect on the month. With the daily page, if we now click in here, we can choose, well, it's untitled, and here our month shows up, and we can get right into planning, and at the end of the month we can get into the reflection. You can also, of course, journal something in here or add whatever you want. And down here we only have the future log section. So everything left to do is maybe make it look a little bit nicer, which is what we're going to do now. We're going to add a cover and an icon and just change some of the formatting of the text in here. So now we're done. What I also did was I added a cover page to the daily page, just so it looks nicer, as well as to the monthly page, and I only added a cover image to the month we're currently in. So once you have a lot more months here, you always see which are the months that are already past or that you're in currently, and which months are still in the future, because the ones in the future will be blank. And that's our bullet journal setup. I hope you liked this video. I hope you liked the setup. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos like this, and leave me a comment. Tell me if you want to use this template, if you're a bullet journaler or not, if you use a similar setup, and what you think about this video. Bye!